What's going on, everyone? Today we're here with a man that many of you know from television. If you've been watching many shows like Battlebots and things from ESPN, etc., his name is Faruq Tauheed, and he is an announcer. He's been on many years, and I've always felt announcers were very interesting people, and I'm glad his brother joins on the show today. So, Faruq, thank you for joining us today.
No problem, man. Yeah, I've been out here doing my thing, announcing, hosting, acting, voiceovers. I'm all over, man.
Yeah. So, how did you get involved in it? I know, like, let's go back to when you was maybe a teenager and your voice just start changing around that age.
Well,
Did your mom or your dad notice a difference with your voice that stands out a little bit more than others?
you know what's crazy, man, is that even to this day, like I got a couple ads running where it's just my voice, and I get people hit me up all the time. Everybody recognizes my voice, but I never really think that I got a voice that's that recognizable. You know what I mean? That it stands out like that. When I was young, man, I don't remember when my voice got deep, or when it became as powerful as they say or whatever. But I gotta say, as far as like the hosting and things like that, that's stuff that happened later. I started out acting, born and raised in Philly. As you can see, the Philly cap. I got my Joan t-shirt on, and I started out acting, doing my acting thing, and I just started doing hosting and voiceovers over the last like 10, 12 years or so. It really just started, man, with my voice. People just telling me, yo, are you on the radio? Can you sing? And I always tell people, man, I can't sing at all. I can talk real good, but I can't sing and save my life, man.
Yeah, Philly, man. I was actually out there a few months ago. I actually stayed out there in central Philadelphia. Very nice city down there. And when I was going through to get to central Philadelphia, I was looking at some way some of the homes were built. I was like, wow, it looked like all the homes are like connected into like you got these buildings. Because see, in Texas, our homes aren't like that.
Yeah, nah.
So it's a trip that all these buildings are connected. And all of them, I guess, are they like townhomes or how they built over there?
No, man, it's just row houses. Like on my block where I grew up in West Oak Lane. That's where I lived predominantly. I lived in North Philly and all over, but predominantly in West Oak Lane, like it's row houses. So like it might be 40 houses on the block, 20 on one side, 20 on the other side. And I mean, it's not a long block. That's just the way it is. It's funny because my wife, she grew up in Baltimore, and the house that she grew up in, like when you go to Google Maps and get the aerial view, you just see her crib, and then you see like, and the next house is like yards away, and you see all this land. And then when you look at where I grew up in my house, like you literally just see a row of just stacked houses. And that's how it is in Philly, man. And some blocks you go down, especially like when you're around like 17th, 18th, Susquehanna, Dolphin, all that, whatever. Like some houses, you know what I mean, you might see 40 houses on the block, but you might only be 10 people, 10 houses can live in. So, and it's hard to kind of rebuild in Philly because a lot of people don't actually own the property. You own the house, but not the properties on. So rebuilding and all that is kind of crazy, man. But yeah, man, row houses, that's how it is in Philly, man. Everything's connected.
Yeah, I remember, man, when I was I was there about at least a good 24 hours because what happened is I was supposed to fly to LaGuardia Airport and we got snowed in. So they made us drive over there to Philly, and so we got to rent a car and drove over there. But I went to Max's cheesesteaks, man. You been
Max's, man. That's right around the corner from my dad live, right there on Broad area. My dad live over there on 18th area.
Yeah, man, that's the best cheesesteak I've had in my life, bro. I tell anybody, go to Philly, go to Max's.
Yeah, you got to go to Max. When I send people to Philly, though, I always send them down South Street because it's a little bit safer. I don't want to be sending people up 18th area. You probably was rolling with some people that was cool. You can get away with it, but a lot of cats, man, I don't want to send them into the deep good cheesesteaks, man, because that's where the hood's at.
But yeah, when I went down there, when I went from Central Philadelphia down there with Max was there, we went at night. And I was like, like when you start going into the hood and it starts getting darker and darker behind you, you're like, man, what happened to all the lights? it was me and my wife. It wasn't me and somebody else,
Right.
I was like, and I tell anybody, I'd walk up in a place, you don't walk in there looking like you're scared or nothing.
Yeah,
I come from the hood, so I already know how it is.
Right, exactly.
Nah, man, they was nice, bro. They were real cool people out there.
No, it is, man. It's a lot of good people, man. I love Philly, man. I claim it to the day I die. I've been out in LA since 2001, man, but everything about me is still Philly. You ask anybody that know me, man, I represent Philly hard all day, every day. All my family's still back there, man. I was actually just back there in February for the Super Bowl, of course, when the Eagles won the Super Bowl. But yeah, I was back there a couple months ago visiting my mom and them, and yeah, man, I love Philly, man.
So how did you make that transition from Philly to LA? Because actually, we were just out there maybe about a few days ago. We was out there for about a week or so, and you know, like I say, coming from Houston, you know, to over there, the weather's just awesome. So, how did you make that transition from Philly to LA? Because that's a big difference.
Yeah, it is. It's a big difference. I actually had a little stop in between. You speaking of LaGuardia, I went to college in New York.
Okay.
So yeah, Marymount Manhattan College, Upper East Side, 71st, 22nd, and 3rd. I lived there for 4 years. And then I studied in London, came back, and then moved to LA. Like, so I graduated, the day I graduated, we finished walking down the aisle doing all the ceremonies, probably like 9:30 at night. I was at LaGuardia at 4:30 a.m. ready to move out to LA that same day. So I made the decision quick, man. And it happened because I did a ABC Disney TV movie called Selma Laura Selma back, you know, while I was in college, late 90s, early, like right around 2000. And I learned, you know, we shot down in Atlanta, but I learned that, you know, if you want to be getting the good roles and stuff as far as acting is concerned, you want to be in LA because that's where all the casting is done at. Now you can be in Atlanta, you can be in like a lot of other places where they shoot movies, you're gonna get a lot of local small parts. But if you want to get the major parts, you got to move to LA, man. So that was my decision. I went straight to LA straight after college.
So, you know, being in LA, that's considered well, you know, I know their economy is built off of entertainment.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, no doubt. So to get these jobs, like you said, too, like so when you got into doing the hosting and you got doing the voiceovers, I mean, like, is that something that you just wanted to venture into, or somebody like maybe your agent or your PR person kind of like, hey, I think you'd be good at this, and kind of shoot that shot? How did that happen in LA?
Yeah, man. For me, it was just like, all right, I'm gonna try this out. Especially with the voiceover thing, you know, it was a lot of things. Everybody's saying, yo, you do voiceovers, you do voiceover. I was like, nah, I don't. I ain't know nothing about it. You know, you work on radio? No, I don't. It's like, oh, you got a good radio voice, you got this, you got that. I'm like, all right, well, let me finally go check out, see what this voiceover thing about. So I went and took a class, and it was nothing like I thought it was. You know what I mean? You think it's all about just putting on a voice and, you know, doing all these crazy voices and all that kind of stuff. And some of that is part of you getting into like animation, but it's so many different, it's so multifaceted that you really can really find out what you're trying to do, whether it's promo, narration, trailers, animation, all that kind of stuff. I might be speaking French a little bit, but it's a lot of different avenues to go down. And for me, and it's hard too, man. Like I was auditioning for voiceover work for probably about 5-6 years before I like booked my first big thing. And before I started, you know, booking and being into it and doing more and more and more. And it took a while. And for hosting, man, it was one of those things. I had just quit my job. I was working at a restaurant, Red Lobster. I think y'all know about them Cheddar Bay biscuits.
Oh Lord, them Cheddar biscuits. Yeah, I can't eat them things. Them things are too high in salt.
Yeah, man. I was working there, and I quit my job, and I was sitting at home, and I was playing video games. I was like, man, I wish I could. And this is a true story. I said, I wish I could just get paid to play video games. And literally, like the next couple of days, an email came through. Do you like video games? Do you like football? And it was for like the EA Sports Madden the tournament, the tour. Long story short, me and my man, I ain't had no hosting background. Me and my man, we put together like a little fake open mic in his house, like I was doing an MCing. He pulled out plants. He pulled up sheets on the background. And this is back when, you know, video camera, no cell phone, video camera joint. And yeah, we taped it, man. About a year later, I was on the EA Sports Madden tour, traveling the country, and from there, that's when my hosting and stuff began. I've been doing it ever since.
Yeah, so you've been hosting and doing your voiceovers. Now, I know that you have like that one guy, you may know who he is, that the one that do all the movie trailers just about. I mean, like I mean that particular guy. I guess he's a legend, right?
Yeah. LaFontaine, I think that's his name.
Yeah. So or more people starting to call you for movies, or like is that where eventually you all want to get to, is doing the big time movie trailers?
Well, I mean, getting down to the movie trailers is big time. I mean, this booth right behind me, I built this, and it's a voiceover booth. That's where I do all my auditions. I even get a chance to do some work out there. The whole second season of the Battlebots, all the voiceover I did came right out of that booth right behind me. And so The goal, man, is just to keep working, keep grinding. You know, I also did a game show this year called The Noise. It was a children's game show on NBC Universal Kids, and it's just about keep growing, man, keep grinding, keep going. I mean, I would love to be a voice of like ABC promo or Fox promo, whatever, because these guys, they're working constantly. The money is good. And you just keep going, man. As long as my voice is out there, and like I said, right now I got a Hot Wire commercial spot running, and a lot of people recognize me from that, and a whole bunch of other things I've been doing. But as long as people, man, as long as I'm working, man, and I get to keep doing what I love to do, whether it's hosting, voiceover, or even acting on TV and film, I'm grateful, man. I'm happy.
Yeah, definitely staying gainfully employed is always a good thing.
Absolutely.
Now let me ask you a question. With that particular business that you're doing, and we definitely promote, you know, doing for self here, creating businesses on your own. Right. Is that something that you can, you know, branch out and do on your own, as your own company, or you have to like kind of work with somebody else?
Well, I mean, essentially, what it boils down to is that I kind of am my own company. As far as, you know, a lot of work I do, whether it's freelance or it's contracted, a lot of voiceover work and stuff I do, I kind of am my own company. Right now, I run it as such. Like I said, I got my voiceover booth back here. Me and my wife, we both are in the business, so we set up our own little shop. I think it really, like, as far as where I am right now, definitely want to continue to do more work, get more hosting gigs, do more voiceover gigs, and then eventually, you know, you can get down to the point where you are coming up with show ideas, and you're a showrunner, an executive producer, and all that, and then you are really kind of your own boss, and you get to do what you want to do. So that's the level I'm going down. You know, as far as like a lot of these name guys, like when I look at people like Jamie Foxx, you know, he's got his own show, executive producer, and all that, and so that's kind of where it's all headed.
Okay, so for people that possibly want to get into, you know, what you're doing, and maybe they have a voice that none of us even heard yet, right. What would be the first steps for them to possibly get into that?
I say do what I do, man. Take a class, especially if you're out here in LA. I started out taking the Calmerson voiceover classes. A lot of them you can take just so you can learn what it's really about. Like I said, because for me, when I started doing it, it was, you know, I thought it was all just about putting on voices, and it's not. A lot of times now, especially, they want you to be you, even in TV and film. Like, you just want you to be real and relate. So I say go out there and take a class. You got to get a demo reel done. Those things are mad expensive. Yeah, just go out there, try it, and don't get discouraged. I'm telling you, it took voiceovers. It's a lucrative business. I can go in and work 15 minutes and make $5,000. Or I can go in there and be in for 3.5 hours and make $500. So it's all about, you know, it's checks and balances. So you got to make sure you're confident, go in there and do your thing. But more importantly, like I said, don't get discouraged. It took, like I said, I was auditioning for about 4 or 5 years before I started even booking any stuff on voiceover. So just keep dreaming, man. Keep working.
Yeah, and in video games is definitely another way to go as well, because video game industry is pretty big.
Yeah, the video game industry is huge. That's actually where I got started. Like I said, I started out with EA Sports and Madden as far as hosting, but then that transpired into a whole bunch of other things. I ended up working with MLG, doing a lot of content and analyst stuff and hype man stuff and announcing for them. And I was in video games for a long time. I worked on a championship gaming series with DirecTV years ago. See, a lot of gaming stuff that's happening right now, all the stuff you're seeing on TV and all that other stuff, and how esports is huge. Like I was part of like the original blow up of all that esports stuff like over 10 years ago. So it's good to see it coming back now. And it's actually because of my work on one of these esports games that I've actually been working on Battlebots. And if you check, you know, I've voiced in some video games too, man, from Lawbreakers, BioShock series, Mass Effect 3. Yeah, so it's a lot of fun being in the voiceover world, especially with the video games. Because if you check it out now, a lot of video games, even though a lot of people playing online, video games, the campaign series and all that, it's shot like real movies now. It's shot like real movies, and they want it to be real. So they're bringing in actors and the voice actors and all that to make it all pop.
Yeah, I definitely seen that, how video games are going to that route now. So, you know, definitely, ladies and gentlemen, if any of you have a voice and you want to get into this, you feel this is interesting, Faruq, how can people get in contact with you and maybe ask you some questions that we didn't get to.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Hit me up on Twitter. Hit me up on Instagram at Faruqadelphia. That's Faruq, Faruq, like my first name, and the last part like Delphia, like Philadelphia. So yeah, hit me up on that. I'm an open book, man. I'm all about sharing the love. I'm not out there trying to hide nothing. You know, I heard my man Bobby Sessions. He said something real cool where he was like, a lot of people nowadays we live in a with an and mentality, like. Or I'm sorry, we live in an or mentality where it's like, oh, either you can get on or I can get on, or you can get on or I can get on. Where you need to be living in an and mentality where you can get on and I can get on. And that's how I live my life. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't got no problem with sharing anything and everything that I got. I don't think it's a competition out there. I think it's enough bread out there for all of us to eat off of.
Now that I agree with 100%. It's enough bag for everybody. That's how I look at it. And what's wrong with helping somebody else? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly,
I mean, it's something more we need to do, especially within our community. So Faruq, thank you, brother, for joining us on the show today and speaking with us. And guys, if you have any questions, we'll put his contacts in the pinned comment. And Faruq, take care of yourself.
No doubt, man. Appreciate it. Make sure everybody watch Battlebots Friday nights on Discovery. I'm doing my thing, man.
All right.